Hello and welcome to myStock Tutorials with Shane. In this video, we'll be covering purchase orders. Purchase orders is one of several stock orders that myStock offers. It allows the user to create and compile an order and then is then placed on a list of suppliers that the merchant has created for themselves. So if we navigate to stock orders and go to click on purchase orders, it brings you to the purchase orders page. On this page, it allows you to view certain purchase orders in draft status or placed or completed status. You can look at templates and create templates for purchase orders, and you can also look at rejected. So if you have a look at placed, there may potentially be some placed here. It gives you the date, references, from which supplier it's being placed on, the name of the purchase order, if there's what links there are, and it gives you the status and if there are any approvers. The button on the top right here is create purchase order from pending purchase order list. I will explain this in another video. So let's take a look at the flow of creating and placing a purchase order. So you simply select the purchase order button on the top left. You can give it a name. And then you select from the list of suppliers that is linked to this supplier. You can choose a date and the expected date. Add the items, and on this drawer you have the choice of searching via department or by tag. So in this case we will leave it as department. And over here, this drawer is to search via or filter by your departments that the merchant has, or you can simply select the items over here. Select search, or I can go and select cold drinks, and all the cool drinks will appear. On the right, you will see that there are two different fields here. Over here, we've got your unit. So this is your order unit. And whatever is showing here is usually your default order unit. Now, sometimes you may not necessarily have a drop-down drawer. That is because you might only have one order unit, which is your sales unit, that is set to this item. So for example, maybe potentially, let's have a look at an ingredient by some chance. You can see here bacon is an ingredient from the ingredients department, and you can see that it is a kilogram. So that means that it doesn't have the option for to select a different alternative unit. That means that this is the sales unit as well as the default order unit. So in this case, we're going to select some cold drinks. You're welcome to select multiple if you want. By searching, I can select which default order unit I want to use. So in this case, I'm going to choose a case of 6, and I would like to purchase 6 cases. I will leave a cream soda as each and maybe select 5. You can also select all, and you can select either these drop downs. You can choose to have less than target level, or equal or less than reorder levels, or your equal or less than alert levels. That's depending on if you've set up your target, reorder, and alert levels. You can also select the quantities, so you can order your economic order quantity if you have that set up, or you can order single units and it will select all the items that are selected. So in this case, I'm going to simply select that and that, and then you create your purchase order. Once you click create purchase order, it will then show you that it's completed creating the purchase order, and it will save it as a draft. Now, on this draft drawer, there are several things that the user can do. So for one example, you can choose to either receive your purchase order as a manual receive, or you can choose to do an auto receive. So now what an auto receive means is that when you've selected this toggle to be on and you go and place the purchase order like this, another drawer for auto receive will pop up and it will require you to put in an invoice number, and there you'll see that the place purchase order button is now highlighted in blue. This means that you do not have to go through the whole process of going to receive stock and manually counting the items yourself that have arrived from the supplier. If you just want to do an auto receive, you can do that. You can put in the date of the invoice and everything else that you require. And it gives you all the information over there. You can print it out or you can add notes. So for this case, we will do a manual receive. There is the option for the user to use the unit prices including tax, or you can choose to have the unit prices excluding tax. So what that means is when you see the little star that says tax inclusive, as you can see here, the extended has got a little star, which means that the extended price has the tax included in this price. If you can see here, this is the unit price, which is currently not inclusive of tax. The moment I select unit prices including tax, you'll see that it is now included in there, and you'll see that the taxes have changed. So for this case, I will have it selected as excluding. Over here, you'll see that there's a supplier tax reference. So this is the supplier tax reference over here. This means that if you have a supplier tax reference, that means that there is tax included in the purchase order. So every time you place a purchase order on this specific supplier and it has a reference, then they will include taxes. You can choose to print out this draft by selecting either print order or print as a draft, and then this pops up. You can see here, you can view it over there. You can choose to send it via a WhatsApp or via email, or you can print it out directly or download it as a PDF. You can add notes to the purchase order. And you'll see that it has a little green one over here, or you can choose to delete this draft. So once I'm happy with my draft and I'm happy with the quantities and everything, I can go and place. There's also another thing you can do before I go, and that is you can save this as a template, and you can call it a cold drink template or whatever you'd like to call it, and you will create a template. You can create the draft, or you can just simply go and close. So as you can see, I have my draft, which is still the original, but I haven't placed it yet. And I can go and place this purchase order. If you have got approvals set up where it requires a certain or multiple users to approve purchase orders before they are finally placed, then you will have an approval request here to go and approve. And this is usually only approved by those that have the permission to approve. This is obviously set up in your settings. So we can go and approve. And you'll see here in the approvals, there is my approval. I select it and I would like to approve. You can add a note if you wish. Approve at a final step. And then it will show you that there is no longer an approval in here. That means that the purchase order has now been placed. So you can see the draft status is empty, and if I go to placed, you will see that it has now been placed and there was an approver over here. you can see that these two purchase orders that are placed did not require any approvals. And that is how you place a purchase order. If you see that it was an auto receive, then it would have automatically been received and it would have gone straight to the completed. It wouldn't be sitting and placed. If it was a manual receive, then you would still need to go to your receive stock and it will be sitting in awaiting over here. And then that's where you can select it and receive it over here. I will explain this more in another video. And that is purchase orders.